Hey guys, Retro Gaming Maniac here, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can build yourself an entry-level gaming PC that can play modern day titles for $150 or less. So this build is going to be a budget build. It's one I did just for fun, but I figured I'd make a video on it showing you what is possible if you want to get into the world of PC gaming, you know, join the PC master race. But hope you enjoy this video. Alright guys, so the point of this video is to basically show you that you can play PC games and get into PC gaming for $150 or less, and that is by making a budget build. That would be an entry-level PC, and the one we're using here is a Dell E520. This is one that was given to me. It does have a DVD drive, which I thought was really cool. It's got the 2 USB ports, and it came with an Intel Pentium 4, which is a single-core processor. And since it did not have a hard drive when I got it, we had to basically install Windows 7 on it, which is really cheap. You can get those codes really cheap for like 15 bucks. I found one on the internet. Alright, now here is the side of the Dell E520, and as you can see, it does not really have any kind of air intake on either side of it. The other side is just like this. The only air intake we really have is in the front here, where it has a fan which sucks the air in, blows it across the heatsink, which is attached to the processor, and basically that's how it keeps the system cool. And when we turn it around, we got our power supply, pretty basic stuff. We got a VGA. We actually have 6 USB ports on the back here, which I thought was pretty cool. Got our Ethernet. Now we do have 2 USB ports on the front. And as you can see here, we have a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi card. And also we have the GTX 1050 that I installed, which has a display port, HDMI, and a DVI. Alright guys, so here's the inside of this dinosaur, and like I said, it did not really have much in it when I got it. Did not have a hard drive. It came with only half a gig of RAM. This is a 512 megabyte stick of DDR2 RAM. Now the computer, the motherboard only takes DDR2, and it has 4 RAM slots, which only allow a max of 2 gigs of RAM per slot. So I went ahead and ordered 4 of the 2 gigs of RAM. So now the computer has 8 gigs of RAM, which should be plenty for most games. I don't really know of any games that take more than 8 gigs unless it's highly unoptimized, like the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. But originally it also came with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, which is a single core processor. Do not recommend this for gaming whatsoever. Now if you're going to be playing esports titles, real light titles, it should be fine. But you're not going to get any multitasking with this, and I would definitely upgrade to the quad core processor that this motherboard will take, which is a Q6600 Core 2 Quad. Quad core processor has 4 cores, much better with gaming. You're still going to get some bottlenecks, but it won't be as bad. So it's only a $10 upgrade to do a Q66 processor, so I definitely recommend doing that. Now, so we got the 8 gigs of RAM. The hard drive I put in here was 40 bucks. It's a 1000 gig hard drive, so 1 terabyte hard drive. You could go with something less. You could put an SSD, you could put 500 gigs, it'd be even cheaper. And then we have a GTX 1050, and I put this one here because it does not require a 6-pin or 8-pin connector, so I can plug it right into the motherboard, and I think the motherboard will support up to 75 watts, so this is all that card needs. A GTX 1050 is plenty powerful to play all modern day titles on medium settings or more, depending on, you know, your computer setup. So we got a GTX 1050 in here. Now I went with that one. You can actually go with cheaper. I had store credit, so I ended up only spending like 50 bucks on my graphics card when I got it. But you can also get a used card, maybe a 750 or something like that, and get some, or a 750 Ti, and get some really good performance with your games, modern day games. You know, games are a few years old, but also, so we upgraded the processor. We put a GTX 1050 in there, and we got 8 gigs of RAM. Now we have a 1000 gig hard drive. So the question is, will this build be able to play modern day games at 1080p? And the answer is yes and no. You will be able to play some games at 1080p depending on the game. Other games you're going to have to turn down to 720p, which is fine to me, maybe not to you, but this is a budget build. We're talking about getting into PC gaming, playing modern day games for $100 to $150. Not bad at all. So certain games you'll be able to play, you know, high settings depending on the game. Other games you have to turn down, you know, compromise a little bit, maybe mess with the resolution. But yes, you will be able to play nearly all modern day games that I can think of. And I'm going to show you some gameplay from 3 different games. We got PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, we got Metro Last Light, and we got Blackwake. Now 2 of those games are early access, so they're not fully optimized. But Metro Last Light, that's a AAA game that's been out for a while, but it's still a very demanding game. So we're going to see how these games look on this PC, what kind of frames we're getting, and all these games are going to be played at 1080p. So let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, so for our first test here we have Metro Last Light, and it's set at medium settings with 1080p, and this game has been out for a while, and so it's a AAA game, it's been out for a while, it's well optimized, so it seems to run really good. We're getting 60 plus frames right now. Now when the action gets real intense, you'll drop down probably into the 50s and stuff, but you can always mess with the resolution. Also, you can probably bump the settings up to high if you wanted to right now and still get playable frames. So this looks pretty good right now. And just a quick note, I'm actually capturing this with a HD PVR rocket, so the computer does not know that it's being recorded right now, so we're not losing any frames or performance due to recording software. Alright, so next up we have a game called Blackwake, and this is set at the medium settings with 1080p. This is an early access game. It's a multiplayer pirate game. Don't know how many players can be in a server at once or in a room at once. But as you can see, we're getting some pretty good frames. We're getting 40s to 50s. Now granted, the more players we have running around, the more ships, we're probably going to get some drops in frames, but this is very playable like it is, and like I said, it is early access, so once they optimize it a little bit better, you can probably expect some better frames. So next up on the list is another early access game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and we are playing at the very low settings at 1080p. And this game is highly unoptimized, and it really needs a lot of work. Even my gaming rig sometimes has trouble with this game. And we are playing at the very low settings at 1080p, and we're getting some decent frames. Now as we get into the city, this is where you really start to see some issues with the quad core processor we have in it. It just has trouble keeping up with this game. But once this game gets optimized, I think we'll be a lot better off. The game is definitely playable, and you could also tweak the settings. Turn down some stuff, maybe mess with the resolution, and get some better frames, more consistent frames. And I can tell you, I did try changing this to 1280 by 720, and it definitely did help the frames. Didn't look quite as pretty, but it's still definitely playable even at 1080p. So, can you play modern day games for $150 or less with a PC? And the answer is yes. We played the 3 games. We got some pretty decent frame rates in each game. Definitely all playable. You can always go back and mess around with the resolution if you need to. But the point of the video was just to show you that you can get into PC gaming for, very cheap. If you're looking to buy the computer I got to build this little budget build, it is a Dell E520. You can get them on eBay for about $20 to $25. I got mine for free, luckily, but the processor is like $10. You can get 4 sticks of RAM for like $20. I mean, really, definitely you can do this. Now the graphics card is going to be your most expensive part of this build, but I recommend going the used market or the used route. Look in there, see what you can find, and you can even go below the GTX 1050. That's just the one I chose to put in there. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. I've never really done a video like this before showing computer and specs and gameplay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if it was, kind of rough. It's my first time doing this kind of video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.